Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I stand before you to tell you a story that parents sitting right here would be familiar with. That story, ladies and gentlemen, is a story that took place between two distinct moments in time. The first being the time when you fellow graduates took your first steps as you learned how to walk. Those steps were hard to take. Each step was not a confident stride, but a leap of faith. They were a progression of failed experiences until eventually you overcame your failures and were able to independently learn how to walk. Fast forward to the second moment in time, which is you taking your first steps on the stage to receive your diploma. And you will realize the stark difference between what we were innately programmed to do and what society expects us to do. Our first steps were ambition at its purest, while we're now driven by an ambition that has been planted into our spirit by other people's expectations of us. Many of us are urged to rethink your career or plan your life based on how much money you might make or how much prestige you might garner. When we simplify human nature to these superficial considerations and neglect the human determination that compelled us to take our first steps despite countless failures, then we're simplifying what it means to be human. If we elevate these unnatural values, we have no choice but to mistrust one another. Humans have the tendency to miss the complexities in life by reducing everyone to a single layer. We all have different lived experiences, and mine have led me to conclude that when we view people as either being good or bad, we fail to see the nuances in the world. The lack of depth and consideration to all of the other factors that falsify that same view is what makes it problematic in the sense that it allows prejudice, stereotypes, and hatred to blind our judgment of our fellow human beings. It is a perception that is capable of halting innovation and greatness. In fact, after observing the atrocities of the Holocaust, Hannah Arendt concluded, "The sad truth is that most evil is done by people who never make up their minds to be good or evil." So my experiences have taught me that if we're not vigilant at fighting for justice, we're allowing nefarious elements to seep into our society. We can't do it alone. Most of us are lucky to have supportive individuals who inspire us every single day to be our best selves. We often rush to neglect the fact that if all of these individuals were to be eliminated from our lives, the situation would be completely different. We all strive to be great, but without the support we need, we might fall short of this ideal. History demonstrates that the disconnection between individuals and the perception we have of them is what leads to bureaucracies elevating their objectives over those more understanding of the whole human condition. The same goes with company managements and anyone who holds a position of power. Therefore, as a graduating class, we should attempt to embrace true inclusivity, which is not only limited to one's ethnicity or religious beliefs, but also to the inclusivity of thought, no matter how divergent. If we want their greatness, we must embrace humans as humans, replete with all their foibles. Walt Whitman said it best in his poem. I'm going to recite it now. Do I contradict myself? Very well then, I contradict myself. I'm large. I contain multitudes. We have to accept the potential for failure and precariousness. When we have a more circumspect understanding of the world, we might have fewer issues in this divisive and politically charged world. This is really the only way to properly understand each other, and it is through this understanding that we can achieve true inclusivity. Free discourse and inclusivity are our best weapons for the 21st century. The problems we face are not of our making, but they're nevertheless our problems to solve. We might have a true understanding of the societal issues that led to an increase in rates of anxiety and depression, and how the modern work environment is controlled by a tyranny of rules and protocols that smothers creativity and crushes souls. When we stop thinking about whether or not a person belongs to the same religion that we follow, or believes in the same political opinions that we believe in, we begin to live with an understanding that we're all humans who have similar aspirations and opinions on the central life issues. Then we can begin to confront all of the world's problems. We will have a world without religiously and politically motivated civil wars. We will have a world where the blood of innocent humans is replaced with the sweat of hardworking, motivated, and free populations. My dear graduates, we're the generation that is going to have to deal with the drastic impacts of climate change. We're the generation that will be leading research to combat new strains of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. We're the generation that is going to face the consistent loss of our coastal cities and the threat of violent wars taking place over resource scarcity. We're the generation that will have to save our dying ecosystem. Past generations have left us with a burden that no other generation has faced before. And our responsibility is to work hand in hand with our fellow human beings, friend and foe alike. If your goal is to win, it means someone else must lose. By instead choosing to create, we're all afforded infinite possibilities. So we must insist on the robustness of the world. We laugh at those that say that the earth is flat, and rightly so. And yet, we continue to flatten it each time we remove its complexity by judging each other as being good or evil, educated or uneducated, lazy or hardworking. If we're completely honest, we accept that at different moments in time, we're all of these things. The simplistic perceptions might be a natural part of human nature. However, the concerns we're facing are out of the ordinary, so we have to be out of the ordinary. Just like a child on his journey of learning how to walk, who will trip and fall, on our way to resolving humanity's problems. To resolve these problems, we cannot rely on false optimism. If someone tells you there is a light at the end of the tunnel, be careful, because it might be a train coming towards you. We should continue to recall Tony Stark's final message to us as we commence our final year of high school. We should remind ourselves that a part of the journey is the end, as every end is at once also beginning. Thank you.